Hello everyone, Malia Poteet here, and if you're watching this video, it's because our family's channel has reached its first 500 subscribers. Woohoo! We would like to thank all of you who have subscribed to our channel for helping us reach that goal. If you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe if you like this video to help us reach our next goal of 1,000 subscribers. Now, just as promised, it's time for the detailed breakdown of how to get started with your homeschool if you decide to. But first, let's talk about who homeschooling may be right for and who may choose to stick to a standard public or private school. Of course, homeschooling is not going to be right for everyone, and that's perfectly fine. However, if you're like me and you have a special needs child who's minimally verbal or perhaps has some medically complex condition, then it's much harder as parents to make the choice to send them away for the day for someone else to care for. This is not always a choice, obviously, as usually homeschool does require one parent to stay home to school the child or the children. Of course, working from home is always an option, or nights or weekends, but homeschooling does require sacrifices, as you could imagine. But sometimes, depending on the situation, those sacrifices must be made. That part is for you to decide. What works best for your family, and if homeschooling could be a good fit. But I will be going over some options for financial help for those who need it. Another concern for parents thinking about homeschooling is whether or not their child can attend college. And the simple answer to that is yes. Homeschool students are actually highly sought after by institutions such as colleges and universities due to recognition of motivated and independent nature of homeschooled students. The admissions process is generally the same for homeschoolers as it is for students of traditional schools, but with a focus on individual merit and opportunities. So the process just requires tests such as SAT or the ACT, transcripts, which can be self-created with printouts or through a homeschool organization. Parents are also often concerned with whether or not their kids will be able to make friends if they're homeschooled. And the answer to that is also yes. There are homeschool groups that you can find on social media platforms. There are therapies, there are recreational sports. Okay, so let's talk about the reasons why people choose to homeschool. Now, there's lots of reasons why you may choose to homeschool or may not choose to homeschool. Some of the reasons may be living in rural areas that are far away from schools, special needs, such as my son. He's minimally verbal, and so when I ask him about his day, he's not able yet. He's coming along really fast, so. But as of now, he's not really able to give details on his day and how it went and give names of people that he interacts with, and so that's our choice. But so there's other reasons. There's bullies, school shootings, let's see, transportation issues, changing social norms. Sometimes people feel like they don't fit in. And you choose whatever your reason is. Everyone's different, and so We had a terrible experience with a really expensive private school that we tried David with when he started kindergarten, and he came home covered in bruises head to toe, and he was not able to tell us what happened, and no one else was able to tell us what happened. And so they actually told us that he had a great day. The place, it was quite concerning because it was a special needs, private school for special needs, and it was supposed to be highly rated. They did have like a padded room, like a colorful padded room that concerned me. But we gave it a try. And then the very first day, he came home covered in bruises, and he wasn't able to tell me what happened. No one else was able to tell me what happened. They actually all said that he had a great day, and so it was basically went unexplained. We tried again though. We tried again the next day, and just to make sure, and when we went to go pick him up, they said he had a much better day than yesterday. So just let that kind of sink in. And they had told me he had a great day the day before, even though he came home covered in bruises. And so that's when I decided, I think sometimes those expensive private schools will tell you what you want to hear to keep you paying for your kid to go there. Something to think about. Okay, so I was getting off topic. So let's talk about the requirements to start your homeschool. So unfortunately, maybe not so unfortunately, as far as legally, you don't really have to have anything but a computer and a Wi-Fi connection to start homeschooling. Because legally, you only have to send in the required documents of your child's online work and have them go to their zone school once a year, maybe, for standardized testing. However, morally, and in so many other levels, it would be wrong to have your child homeschooled and only ever learn from online on the laptop. There is no hands-on learning that way, and no engagement with peers. There's no way to learn important handwriting skills. So you are going to want to set up a space inside your home and outside as well. For hands-on learning activities and writing, motion, play, and exercise. This can include climbing bars outside, like we have like a dome set of climbing bars outside, and this it can get expensive, and this could include maybe like a swing, a slide, things that they may have at a school. You can get creative and go all out, or you can keep it small and practical, as I've done. Little exercise equipment. We have a tiny little gym out there, so that way Davey can get out there, and we all can get out there and move and get some exercise. That's really important. They would definitely be doing that at school. You want to make sure you try to kind of give them what they would be getting at a school if you were sending them to a school. And if you can find lots of learning toys and activities secondhand to help save money, you can use the online curriculum to get ideas on what your child should be learning at their age and their grade, and kind of go off that. On what other items you can get to kind of help support what they are already learning. And just as an idea, like as you can see here, you're going to want to set up like a tiny little, I mean, it doesn't, tiny, big, however you want to do it. Okay, but just as just an idea, you know, go around a little bit and show you kind of an idea of what I have going on here for Davey. This is just a tiny small space. We have this table here that I'm at, and this is where his laptop, where he does his where he does all of his online work. There's our whiteboard that we do, like some writing skills, some science, and right now working on some fractions. We're working on, and I'll explain where I got some of this stuff too. I'll link some of the things to give you sort of an idea of some of the things that I have here. I'll link to the video, working on regrouping, place value, fractions, just a little idea of we have our calendar here, you know, just an idea of sort of what it looks like in here. Moxie, he uses Moxie a lot, Moxie the robot. She's been acting up lately. She hasn't been working right, so he's kind of upset about that, but okay, getting carried away. Okay, so next, okay, and let's see, what's next? So yeah, you're going to want to set up a space that's meant just for learning and try to keep it filled with educational things that's on your child's level, where they're at right now. Okay, so now I'm going to go over who should not homeschool their children, and that is going to be basically anyone who may struggle to provide or create an educational environment in your home to foster learning, or if the financial burden is going to be too much for your family, or if your child tells you, hey, I don't want to be homeschooled, then those are all very valid reasons why you may choose not to homeschool, and that's perfectly fine. We actually have a lobbyist here in Tallahassee who advocates for our right to school with minimal interference. And obviously, that lobbyist has been very successful, as per the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. Florida is a low regulation state, and so at least in terms of the state mandated requirements, homeschooling should be fairly easy. You should find homeschooling fairly easy, at least in Florida. You are going to want to check your state requirements, but most states are getting much more lenient on homeschool. Because of that, and because homeschooling is becoming more and more popular, in the 2021-22 school year in Florida, the numbers provided by the district indicates that 104,961 families and 152,109 students participated in home education programs. So that tells you right there, it's not really so much the odd one out anymore. Okay, so so Florida offers several scholarship programs that you can apply for that can help support homeschoolers if you need it. The Personalized Education Program, or PEP as you call it. Let's see if we can get this in there. Okay, so it's going to be the scholarship. Okay, that's the personalized education program. Provides educational savings account, or ESA, education savings account. Don't mind my horrible writing. Okay, so for eligible students, and the Family Empowerment Scholarship, or Family Empowerment Scholarship, FES, can be used for tuition at a private school, or for certain homeschool costs. And last but definitely not least, the Family Empowerment Scholarship for unique abilities. Okay, Family Empowerment Scholarship for unique abilities is another one, and that's for special needs children. Okay, so now, and you can apply for these. You may want to jot that down. You can apply for these at you can apply for these at the Step Up for Students website. Okay, Step Up for Students website, and you might just write that down. Okay, I'm going to use that here in a minute, so I'm just going to set that there. Okay.